My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. I must inform you that I do not live in this house by myself, but live here with other people. Sometimes other members of the household may have to walk through areas where I might be recording with other family members on the phone. If you hear any noise like that, please feel free to disregard. We are doing our best to get noise canceling equipment, which may at least keep you from hearing exactly what is being said. Thank you for considering. There has been a time when fairly recently I did that video where I showed you all the little revelation beasts and was looking for some more old stuff from, way back at that time, 1999, 2000, that I made that I could bring out to show. And it kind of happened that I was looking for Michael the Archangel that I made, but I couldn't find him. He kind of has some interesting things about him. Because some of what I added to the figure of him is stuff that is really not in scripture. But I decided to just kind of show a little more, and when it came down to it, decided I would show you all a certain other figure that I made or had, and it was Job. This is actually the first Job figure I ever made, and at one time it was kind of by itself. It wasn't attached to anything. It was just covered in boils. All it had on it was a sackcloth at the time. But I painted it white and kind of gave it a little, doodle face with the little Sharpie marker and put his name on the chest and covered him in red boils. And I'd say made him a little sackcloth out of a sock, and eventually ended up kind of taking some other fabric with which I made a little more sackcloth to put on him. And over time, there were just other pieces of wood I had for other things that eventually ended up becoming the scraps that became the other characters. Like this right here is Job's wife. I'll tell you who this is later. But first of all, I would like to show you all how I made these other three of Job's friends, the comforters. There was Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, which were kind of like the three friends of Job. And I used to have all this stuff together on a bookcase, kind of for display, and was kind of showing it that way. But then I decided I kind of needed to put stuff away and make room for other stuff, so I put it all away in a box, and probably got a little more about it to tell you all about. But as for these figures, there's quite the story. These little eyes like these I had for a long time, and these little stickers like these with these little faces on them I had for a long time, and decided I would kind of make those little stickers the noses. I forget so much information about a lot of these fabrics I had, like this gray felt or this little dark gray felt that makes the sideburns and the beards, and I can't even remember exactly where this red came from that ended up being the little turbans at the tops of the heads. And I do think these rubber bands I put in there are getting really old and stale and coming apart. Don't know what to do with those, but do remember where the purple came from. It's like in 2005, my sister had a wedding, and my mom was like kind of making dresses for all the bridesmaids, and while making all those dresses, she ended up with a lot of that purple cloth that she used to make the dresses left over, and I decided that, as a sentiment of my sister's event, I'd kind of probably just take that purple cloth and wrap it around these figures to make their little purple robes. And this was just all stuff that I decided to put on this plaque along with Job and his wife. And this is Elihu. If you kind of remember the whole story, you probably remember that, after Job's friends kind of, said things to accuse him of wrongness and hypocrisy, and then Elihu walked into the door kind of angry at Job for justifying himself and also at Job's friends for some of, I'd say, their talk that they did. It was like Elihu came in there and kind of prophesied to Job and kind of told him some things about, just why God allows things to happen. And you kind of know the story about how in the end God spoke to Job and gave him back twice as much as what he lost in the original fire and windstorm, and healed him of all his boils and things like that. So it was just, I'd say, a little important story to me. That was kind of why I decided to make all this stuff that was based on it. And even while I'm at it, probably got a thing or two I might also show. I'd say that, we talked about the prophecy of Ezekiel. This is a little thing I made based on that. Ezekiel 37, the Bible verse. And probably when I put this little goatee on him without the mustache, I never dreamed one day I'd be wearing my own facial hair like that. But that was kind of how I decided to make him, and forgot all about this for so long, but had these little skeletons I purchased from the Dollar Tree, so decided to put them all around Ezekiel and put Ezekiel 37 on there, as that's the chapter the story comes out of. And I'm sure that right now I can probably only find one of these things, but it kind of had happened in the past that for the final Christmas that my great grandmother was with us, I bought some soap, some Kroger brand soap from the Kroger store, and just basically with the knives I bought, carved these birds out of it. Here's one bird I still have that I carved. It was just kind of the best I could do in those days with whatever I could make to carve from what I had. Hadn't really had any carving lessons yet, much less any experience yet with doing it with wood. So it was kind of a different adventure back then to make all those things. I'd like to also say that of all these things that I made between the years of 1999 and 2005, there were some of these old displays that ended up being thrown away eventually because they were just kind of, like we say, getting to where they were taking too much space. I've got another box in my shop that I might bring out. The other box I just saw in the shop probably has Michael the Archangel and the other stuff in it, but I'm going to have to wait until sometime when I get the chance and am not so busy that I can get around all the other stuff that is currently in the way of the box. So we'll get around to showing that sometime. I will say this is not a good week. I'm going back to school cafeteria work this week to begin the new school year. We have a new manager. I talked with him on the phone. He seems very nice, and we're kind of straightening things out, working things out, and I'd say it's all going to be good because we're starting off a new year. Probably got a manager who takes my health into consideration. Won't I mean, on certain days, like other managers I have in the past have done, cause me to have to get up way early in the morning and not get enough sleep for 3 to 5 days in a row. There will be occasional meetings that are district wide for which we will have to do that, but no worries about that because, like I told him in the text thread, doing it for one occasional day won't hurt me. So I say that this is all just kind of the good and things we have, and for all we have to show today, it's just kind of like the kind of work we have that just will really show a good amount of strength and perseverance in life in every way. I think I'm going to have to find a way to fit these back down into the box because took them out the wrong way. Oh, and by the way, one more thing I forgot to show you is even in the original Job display, there was this little Satan figure that I made out of socks and felt and used masking tape to make its horns out of the sock and used little straight pins to make its whiskers and all and its little ears sticking out. You know, the part of the story where Satan kind of goes up and strikes Job with boils, and forgot to mention how at the very beginning of the story, the way that Satan, which had originally been a fallen angel from heaven, the angel Lucifer, he showed up with God's angels, and God asked him, "Where did you come from?" He said, "From roaming the earth and coming back again." And you know, one day God asks him, "If you considered my servant Job," and of course Satan kind of said, "Oh, you know, if I do this, I do that, he will surely curse you to your face." And one day God said, "Okay, then strike everything he owns, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." And when Job passed that test, Satan came back to God, and he said to him, "But strike his flesh and bones, and it'll surely curse you." God said, "Very well then, strike his flesh and bones, but you must spare his life." It's kind of a thing where we kind of see in Scripture, you know, the devil can only do his evil work within the limits that God allows. And that's just one of those examples of such a story in Scripture that tells us about that. I say that there can be more to show as we move along further, but I'm going to have to figure out on my own how I'm going to close this box again after getting this stuff out and kind of getting it a little bit too much rearranged. So we're going to try to get this box back in its place over in that sump corner, and I'll probably be back another time to share much more. Can't wait to do it. I say that these figures, you know, they're getting to be where they'll be taking up more space in other days and times, but once we come down to it, we'll just see a little ways of working in spaces and making things all the more good. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and always, 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 I say, stay safe. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned.